Hello and welcome to today's edition of Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. I'm Les Winston. I'm the national spokesperson for Secharity.org. That's a project of the How America Network Foundation. I keep wanting to say national, but it's national in nature because we're trying to change America. We're trying to do that by teaching the public about Section 664 of the tax code and other social security devices that the tax code gives us. Those are devices that we've been using for many years, but not enough. We need to increase the number of individuals who understand how that process works, how to use charitable remainder trusts, charitable gift annuities, and pooled income funds to create income that you can rely on later on in life, as well as to do some tax planning if you need to do something about taxes, and also to increase the charitable wealth in the country. We would like to endow all of the nonprofit organizations that are doing what they're supposed to do in our communities. And you can do that by participating with Section 664 as one route. There's a cadre of professional philanthropic advisors out there, people who understand how to do this kind of planning, who use it in their practices. The professional philanthropic advisors can achieve a designation, which is a Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy designation that's offered by the American College. And one of our esteemed and very early members is joining us today on Route 664 from the great state of Texas, Todd Healy. Good morning, Todd. Todd, you there? Todd's frozen. Okay, so let me take you back with Todd, and I go back a long way. We've been through several iterations of organizations, and we've been at many conferences together where we've listened to professional philanthropic advisors share their knowledge about how to work with these wonderful devices, these very powerful planning devices. They are complicated, and they can be complicated. Some of them are easier than others. Charitable gift annuities are pretty easy to use. Pooled income funds are fairly easy to use as well. But the charitable remainder trust can be quite involved, depending on what your needs are, because it can be tailored to fit a lot of different situations. And that's why it's important to work with a professional philanthropic advisor who knows how to use all of the different nuances of that planning tool so you can do the best job you can when you're doing this type of planning. Todd, are you there?
Yeah, I'm sorry, Les. I've just gone to my phone. I gave up on the internet.
Okay.
I apologize. We should be okay now.
Okay, great, Todd. It's nice to see you. And
good to see you, Les.
Yes.
May I make a point of personal privilege while I explain my surroundings?
Sure.
I'm out in East Texas, and we have a fifth wheel that we've converted into my office while we are doing a second home out here. And Cubetta, our good friend Phil Cubetta, when he saw me the first time on a Zoom call, he said it looked like I'd been through a rough divorce and I lost.
Yeah. Okay.
Bill's coming.
As long as you don't start moving. So
I did. I worked both.
Anyway, Todd, it's a real pleasure to have you with us today, because you are a very an old friend, but also a very wise individual in this area of planning using philanthropic tools. Your organization is called C3 Financial, correct?
Correct.
And in Dallas, Texas. So tell us a little bit about your practice. How do you use your Chartered Advisor in Philanthropy designation to help your clients?
You know, first of all, the name C3 came about because a lot of clients didn't have the ability to move forward with their planning because they lack clarity of their goals and objectives. They lack confidence in the planning they've done and maybe what they've been advised to do. And they thought of their planning as an event. And we know that things change. Tax laws certainly change. Personal situations change, financial. So we emphasize that planning is not an event, but a process, and the process needs to be coordinated. So the three C's: providing clarity, confidence, and coordination in the planning. And I came to the insurance business from the nonprofit world. I have a master's degree in social work. And I was trying to figure out a way to incorporate that into my estate planning and business planning, charitable planning practice.
Mhm.
And I heard Phil speak. I became very, very convicted, and said the only way I would do the program if we started a little study group.
Mhm.
So we started the study group 10 years ago. We were the first ones to do that. Mark Weber followed close behind. And now, as you know, there are, 2,400 approximately CAPs in the country.
Mhm.
We incorporated by trying to get the advisors involved less. We want to make sure they're educated. We found the CAP program's the best way. We have probably about 150 have gone through the program in Dallas. It has recently been taken over by the Dallas Foundation and the Communities Foundation of Texas. I learned years ago that what's more important than who you follow is who's following you.
That's right.
So when these two foundations came together collaboratively to take over the program and institutionalize it, I was thrilled to death. And they've been very, very collaborative and working together to maximize the exposure of the CAP program and to make sure that it becomes an institution that lives on here in Dallas.
So it's been going for 10 years roughly. And do you measure the impact that it's had on the charitable wealth accumulation in Dallas and in the surrounding area?
We've tried, and I know Mark Weber in Omaha has done a great job. I'm very, very envious. He and I have compared notes. The challenge in Dallas is we have at least 6 to 8 community foundations.
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no way to really measure the impact. We don't have one that we can work through solely. Now with the CFT, Communities Foundation of Texas, and the Dallas Foundation working together,
Mm-hmm.
I think we might be able to do that. But we have not been able to quantify it.
Right.
Subjectively, we quantify it by the leaders in this industry have gone through it. Each group, each course has a professional advisor and a professional nonprofit person involved. And we've done that from the very, very beginning. And I guess one way of measuring it is when I called this year to help line up the facilitators for the fall class, I had to make 6 phone calls to get 6 facilitators.
Okay.
Every single one said yes. And a couple of them were for the very first class.
Okay.
So that's been very rewarding.
So when the advisors have gone through this, when you're dealing with your clientele and you're trying to find out whether or not, or open the door to whether or not philanthropic planning is part of their needs, what is the impact on the client? In other words, when the client starts to open up about that particular part of their life, the values side, what is the impression you get back from them?
I think it's all about asking the right questions. I had a couple in my office that was referred to me. He was chairman of the board of a San Antonio-based corporation, and we were going through their planning. They had very little cash flow. They had a lot of publicly traded stock. Because of his position, he had to reveal any transaction that took place with the stock. And I asked them, what their philanthropic interests were, and they really didn't have much giving history. And I asked them the old question: if you had $1 million that you had to give away to a non-family member, who would you give it to?
Mm-hmm.
And they rattled off a half dozen charities. And it just so happened that their church was building a new sanctuary, and they used the proceeds. They created a charitable maintenance trust, used some of the cash to build the sanctuary, put the doors on the sanctuary, and make some other significant gifts. So it was a very, very, at the time, it was a very minor amount of the stock they owned, maybe 10 or 15%.
Mm-hmm.
The stock went from double digits, $25 a share, down to less than $1 a share after they sold the stock through the CRT. So what was going to be icing on the cake became the cake. That was pretty.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Go
I'm sorry.
We also ask a question a different way. We used to ask how much, because there's 3 places your money can go. It can go to some go to your heirs, some can go to your community, some can go to taxes. How do you want it broken down?
Mm-hmm.
And tried to get a dollar amount. And we realized that was a dead end discussion because it depended on valuation at the time of their death. So
Right.
we've changed the question and we say, what percentage of your estate do you want to go to your heirs? What percentage do you want to go to the community? And what percentage to the IRS in the form of taxes? And that's really helped open up the conversation.
What do people say about the tax percentage?
You know, it's really interesting. Very seldom do they say, and we do this with a couple together, so very seldom do both of them say zero. You know, the husband, he's a businessman. He might say, you know, this country's been good to me. I've paid a lot of taxes. I'm willing to pay 10 or 15% when I die, just to pay back. But typically, the mother or the wife would want 100% to go to the kids if they can, some to the community, but to avoid the taxes. But that's just been a game changer, Les, to ask percentages instead of dollar amount.
Right, and so involving how about family involvement? Are you finding that is also a part of improving your relationship with your clients? Do you find that opens the door to them feeling better about money and their kids?
Yeah, we certainly do. I have a CPA partner who's based in San Antonio, and for years she worked with families after a death occurred. And one of the most challenging things she encountered was explaining to the heirs that a big portion of the estate was going to charity, unbeknownst to them. Nobody had a discussion, and it just created all kinds of problems and all kinds of conflict. So we've tried to make sure that the children are involved, that they're aware of it, they're buying into it at the front end, because we don't want contentious relationships at the end of the day after the parents are gone.
Dallas being a major city, I mean, it's one of the major cities in the country. Of course, it's a lot different than even Omaha, where Mark Webber is, because you do have a lot of population, and you have a lot of, I guess, financial sophistication in Dallas that you might not find in other places, only because of the volume. Also in the advisors, the sophistication of the advisors with regard to this type of planning for philanthropic gifts. Are they accepting it more? Is it more easily being talked about with their clients, and is that making it a little easier for the overall planning to be done? In other words, what's the acceptance level of this kind of planning?
You know, I wish I could say that even with the caps, it's just smooth, the bumps in the road. But what we really learned and come to realize is that we need to educate the advisors, but we need to motivate the clients. That if they're not asking their advisors about how to accomplish some of these things, then we're not going to get anywhere. That we can educate the advisors all day long, but they're still going to take the path of least resistance. I mean, I've been involved in 2 situations in the last month after the fact where businesses were sold, very philanthropic individuals. Nobody mentioned CRT. Nobody mentioned them. Yeah. I was referred to one banker who sold a community bank. He gave stock to the city. He gave stock to the county. He gave stock to the library. Very philanthropic. He sold the bank. Cash went into his estate, and nobody, he worked with a major law firm in Dallas, nobody said anything to him about a CRT. After the fact, I went in, I explained to him how a CRT could work. He put cash, he was so committed, he put cash into the CRT.
Which is very unusual, because most people do use non-cash assets to fund them. Yeah. And that's one of the powerful tools. Yeah.
No capital gains avoidance, nothing. So it's very frustrating. And we see a plethora right now of businesses being sold in anticipation of capital gains taxes going up. And unfortunately, a lot of the advisors we're working with now, who are 10 or 15 years in law school, never worked with a CRT. When rates were so low, interest rates were so low, the incentive was so low, capital gains was low, they don't know what a CRT is.
Yeah, well, that's it. And then so that leads me to that lead in brings me back to Route 664. How everybody knows what a 401k is, and everybody pretty much knows what a 529 is. And if you're in the real estate business, you know what a 1031 is. And life insurance is 1035. And everybody knows these sections of the tax code, really don't even understand that they are sections of the tax code. So what we're trying to brand is a concept where people will know that if they're in that kind of a situation, they should be looking at that as a solution naturally. And I think that's going to be a very long road until we get past this gap in, from the early adapters to the early majority. And when you're in these study groups, of course, you're making that influence to the advisors, and we're trying to make the public campaign to the public as well. So
Right.
That's one of the reasons why we have Route 664 Radio, and these interviews that we're doing. Our interview today, Todd, will be played on the Route 664 Radio, and we hope that people will tune in and listen to that, because the issues that we're raising are so vital to our country today with regard to trying to reverse this humongous debt that we have. We have to take some of the burden off of government and put it back into the community and support that through direct payments as opposed to taxes turned into charitable gifts by the government. Kind of backwards, don't you think?
Absolutely. Yeah.
So
And we see that the national debt has doubled in 10 years. The wealth gap is getting bigger. So it's got to come from somewhere. And it's just, we anticipate the debt's going to double again in the next 10 years, the way things are going. It's just going to get worse.
Right. So, and that causes all sorts of other problems. This is not a short road, obviously, this road to human kindness. We're hoping that by 2050, there'll be that kind of a significant change in the country if everybody gets behind this concept of 664 and child remainder trust and social security concept, using pooled income funds and child gift annuities. They're great tools, and it's not unusual for me to hear a professional philanthropic advisor say that people just don't know how to use them and don't know where they come from. So what motivates you every day when you get up?
I truly love what I do, and I know you hear that a lot. I'm sure you hear it a lot, but I have absolutely no intention of retiring. I see the impact we're having on our clients. I see the awareness that they're experiencing as we talk to them about different tools and techniques, and they truly don't know. We assume, because we follow tax law, post-tax law changes, we assume everybody knows that. And they don't. They're worried about, the business owners are worried about making payroll. They're worried about their customers, and they have no clue what's going on. And so a lot of what we've tried to do in the last few years is educate them. We do videos. We use an application called BombBomb. We do one-on-one videos. We can send them out. We're sending one out today entitled, "My Mother-in-Law is about to be 99. That's the good news. The bad news is her policy died when she was 95. Because the contracts didn't go beyond that. Mm-hmm. And that same thing's happening with products that are underfunded based on higher interest rates. So that's what motivates me, Les, is getting up and making people aware of the problems that they don't know they have, and getting them to the point where they say, yes, I want to solve it. I want to do something about it, and then putting together options. And working with the advisors. I mean, that's our biggest challenge is trying to use the cooperation of the collaboration. As Dave Holliday says, you go from communication to cooperation to collaboration. Mm-hmm. And that's what we try to do with a team of advisors we work with.
It's another C3.
There you go. Exactly.
My guest is Todd Healy from the great state of Texas. Todd is you're the founder and president of C3 Financial? Yes. Okay. And folks can reach you on the website. You want to give your website, or is we posting it on the Chiron, Wanda? No, not yet. Okay. Give us your website, or a way for folks to find C3 Financial and to reach out to you. Besides, you can find Todd on our roster of professional philanthropic advisors. If you go to socialsecharity.org, don't mean to step on you on your advertising, but we do list our professional philanthropic advisors there all around the country. So Todd will be there, and so will this interview. So you can find out more about Todd there, but you can also go directly to C3 Financial's website, which is
c3financialpartners.com.
c3financialpartners.com. Thank you, Todd Healy. Thank you very much for joining us on Route 664, the road to human kindness. And good to see you. Take care. We've had an opportunity. We do talk about young people in this mix, how important it is for young teenagers to get a little bit more knowledge about financial planning, about using their skills properly, and also being generous and being good into the community. And we are very happy to have interviewed a young man, Caleb Smith. Caleb Smith, right?
That's it.
I got it right. Okay, Caleb Smith. And he is the founder of
Peace Bunny Island.
Peace Bunny Island. So we're going to be joined by that interview now.
Right after this commercial break.
Oh, right after this commercial break, excuse me. The scene is black and white on a dark and gloomy day in America as a family of four are setting out on a road trip across the states. But there's a big problem. It's strangely raining red negative dollar signs, and they're falling on the car's windshield. The wipers fail to brush them off, and they can't possibly see where they're going or the cliff they are dangerously speeding towards. Out of nowhere, they see a beautiful Corvette race by them. The paint job and the stark red, white, and blue contrast to the whole background, the stars and stripes clearly visible on the vehicle. The Corvette slides to a stop in front of the cliff as our hero Charity jumps out with an acrobatic move and uses her special DJ powers as musical notes emanate from her voice, clearing up the weather and making the red negative dollar signs stop. She then directs her music to the cliff, the musical notes calling her three trustees to action.
Chigaro, Crashes, Pithecus, I need you guys. Let's build some bridges.
The three seemingly alien wizards of unknown origin sweep in from the sky and shoot laser beams from their eyes. The beams creating three bridges through which the family and any American family can safely drive to make it across the dangerous terrain. Charity and her friends save the day. The family stopped the car once across one of the bridges because they wanted to know who their heroes were.
Gosh, thank you all so very much. How can we ever repay you? Wait, who are you all anyway?
No need to thank us, folks. My name's Charity, and these are my friends, Chigaro, Crashes, and Pithecus. We seek no reward except that you learn and tell others about social secharity.
Social what? Security?
No, social secharity, like my name. It refers to Route 664, the road to human kindness, and it's a way for you and the rest of the nation to save your future and endow America with financial prosperity.
Wow, tell us more about it.
You see, much like all of you, America is being overwhelmed by debt, and most folks can't seem to see the dangerous cliff we're approaching. With nearly $30 trillion in national debt, Social Security was designed for a few generations in the past, and it's quickly running out. We want more Americans to consider social secharity, which saves America's economy through the power of philanthropy, the love of humanity.
Social secharity gives you the power to give to the charity or cause of your choice, endowing them with financial security so they don't have to rely so much on Uncle Sam. That way, the government reduces your taxes, and you get a steady stream of income that has the potential to grow each year.
Many years down the road, at the end of your life, the remainder of the money you accumulated goes to endowing those philanthropies you choose so that your legacy will go on long after for your children and grandchildren.
If enough Americans choose social secharity, we could ultimately save America from a financial crisis and ensure your kids have a more prosperous future.
Who can we talk to about this?
You're in luck, folks. I represent a council of professional philanthropic advisors who can help you and all Americans create more charitable wealth for yourself and America. You can get in touch with them at socialsecharity.org, socialsecharity.org. You can also watch our weekly webcast called Route 664, The Road to Human Kindness. And tune into Route 664 Radio for some awesome music and engaging discussions. Like us on Facebook at Social Secharity. And with your help, we can endow America.
All right, Caleb.
Morning.
Morning. So welcome to the Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. All right, Caleb.
Morning.
Morning. So, welcome to the Route 664, the Road to Human Kindness. And we always enjoy talking to young entrepreneurs and also young philanthropists. And you qualify in both areas. So I'd like to talk to you a little bit about, first of all, what's your educational background at this point? Where are you at in school?
I'll be a junior this year.
In high school? Okay. And you started this project how long ago?
The idea started at 8 years old.
8 years old. And what was the impetus behind that? What did you like about what happened when you were 8 years old that made this all work for you moving forward?
Well, I was looking for a pet rabbit on Craigslist after Easter and seeing that there were over 360 of them here in Minnesota, and trying to prevent the pet abandonment cycle, and seeing something that I was passionate about and something that I wanted to make a difference for. And then the business just grew and expanded from there.
So how does the business work? Just give me a little bit of a thumbnail about the business. What is the business end of it?
So the Peace Bunny Island is our incorporation. That's the for-profit side. And they own the rabbits and they own the machinery and different pieces. And then there's the Peace Bunny Foundation, and they are the nonprofit foundation that then takes the rabbits to do different programs. Mm-hmm. So there's basically two sides of our programs. We have the Peace Bunny Island programs, and those are birthday parties and senior centers and these different public events, wedding receptions, bridal showers, things like that. And then the Peace Bunny Foundation events, or the Peace Bunny unit, go to places that are dealing with loneliness, trauma, and grief.
So your for-profit side is, I guess, for the for events that are enjoyable for people, and the other side is to help people that are in trouble.
Well, it's more the incorporated side are ones that would then generate the income so that we can take the bunnies to go to different places.
Okay. So in essence, it's pretty complicated. Did you set this up by yourself, or did you have help doing this?
I had lots of business mentors helping along the way, but it was the central idea that I created. Okay.
Your parents help you as well?
They do now.
Okay. Did they help you in the beginning?
Yeah, they were really big on the supportive and the dream idea, and basically going through the business logistics, because they ran a business for a really long time before I came into the world, and seeing and learning from them about the entrepreneurship side from them.
Okay. You know, the MBA, Masters in Business Administration, that's been taught by a lot of the major universities, has always been, in the past, it's always been about bottom line. You know, it was always about profit. And it was always about, it doesn't really make any difference how you get it, but let's get profit. And then when you're in your entrepreneurship, you're not looking at the bottom line here. You're looking at a lot more than that. You're looking at how you affect the community. How many employees do you have?
Right now, currently 3.
Okay.
We just had them for this summer when we're doing a pilot program in nursing homes.
Okay. And the pilot in nursing homes, how is that working?
It's been going good.
Tell me how it works.
Yeah, so we have lots of different rabbits that we take to a senior center or a place like that. And we have 2 models. The first is we have groups in around 4. And it's about a 15-minute session, and then we rotate them out. And then the other is doing an actual nursing home program where it's 30, 45 minutes to an hour of taking the rabbits and basically doing a program with them.
So, and this is all with rabbits. And how do you control that? I mean, you got a bunch of rabbits running around the place. I mean, are they on leashes or what? How do you bring the rabbits to the nursing home? And
So we have the bunnies in wagons, and then we have carriers that we stick in the wagons, kind of creating a little table And the nice thing right now during COVID is that none of the animals are making contact with the ground, which then is safe for the rabbits and safe for the people. So the only thing that's making contact is the wagons. And then we sometimes we'll have them on provided tables that we put blankets on, and then the staff or the residents can come over and interact with the rabbits. And we have some educational facts that will teach the people. And when we go into like a hospice care or something, then we focus on more of the therapy side and having outcome goals, so like moving their hands to pet the rabbit and talking about their childhood, lots of memory care, rethinking, well, if you had a pet, reliving old memories, things like that.
How widespread is your program? Where are you out of? What in other words, you're based where now?
So we're here in the Twin Cities in Minnesota, and that's our home base. In the process, we're expanding to different hubs all across the United States. We've done programs nationwide. We've gone to Connecticut, New York, Boston, Florida, California on the West Coast.
How do you manage that? In other words, if we wanted to bring your concept, if your concept has been in Florida, how will we bring it to South Florida and help people in nursing homes here?
Yeah, so then we have you have the staff people that are kind of creating the hub, and then they will go to a class called Bunny Boot Camp, which is
Bunny Boot Camp.
Bunny Boot Camp.
Okay.
And all of our volunteers and people that would foster rabbit through our program go to that class, and it's an hour and a half where they learn how to take care of rabbits. And then from there, they and then the people that are looking to expand the hub then will learn more about how the program is structured and things like that. And then they will get they'll get like 8 to 12 rabbits at their hub, and then can take it to a specific facility or facilities or a different, or like a nursing home system. Like we have one that we're doing right now in Minnesota, where we're going to 20 different sites of this system on a calendar base.
How are those funded, Caleb?
At the moment, this is just our pilot, but into the future, we're hoping to make it so that it's then considered therapy. So then we have a therapist come in, and then it can be reimbursed through insurance.
Interesting. That's an interesting twist on that. So, I mean, rabbits, everybody talks about rabbits multiplying, so you never run out of rabbits, I guess.
Yeah, our number one job is to keep them separated. And then if we wanted to, with the different breeds we have, they're considered endangered. So then we strategically breed them, but our number one job is to keep them apart.
Okay. And I guess when you're looking at this from a business perspective, the business itself is what's supporting the nonprofit side, or are you getting contributions from people? And how do you get the contributions if that's the case?
We get contributions from both. So it's more when people are like, if people are donating or something like that, then they get to choose basically what events or where the money's going for. So if it's going for getting more rabbit food or more like new carriers or something that is a item or something that will help the business, so then it goes to the Peace Bunny side. And then if they're wanting to donate for an actual program or to then keep the program running, then it goes to the foundation side. So then people
are you considered franchising this, or when you're talking about setting up these I forget what you call them, these, I guess, groups of bunnies that you're giving to other people. What'd you call that? You mentioned that before.
We just call it a hub.
A hub. Okay. So the hub consists of rabbits, and you then make that hub available in other places around the country.
Correct.
And you do that remotely?
So they were in the process of figuring out now with COVID rules and things like that, how to do it. Pre-COVID, we did have a few. We had one in Vermont right before COVID, and the way that was structured was they wanted the bunnies for short term for only like a little less than a year. So then we brought the rabbits to Vermont. We did the bunny boot camp class. We did the educational stuff, and then they already had a program running there. And then they just incorporated rabbits into a separate program under their big branch. And then after that year was over, then we would just take the rabbits back. So it's not really a franchise because Peace Bunny Island still owns the rabbits, because most of the people that we do a particular hub, they're not necessarily long-term. So we're thinking a year or 5 years. And then after a while, then that hub would then move to a different location.
Mm-hmm.
So like the southern Florida, for example, then you would have the rabbits for a few years. And then that hub of rabbits then could go to New York or could go to Cleveland or something like that.
You have any competitors?
I wouldn't call them competitors because there are lots of great rabbit organizations that are doing stuff like this. But
I didn't realize that. I mean, are there really? Seriously?
Yes.
There's a lot of rabbit organizations.
Yes, there are a
rabbit.
lot of people that bring rabbits to different programs. The difference between a lot of their organizations and ours is that a lot of the people bringing rabbits is one-on-one with their person with their rabbit. And the way we're structuring it is that we've trained our rabbits in our program, and then any of our volunteers can bring these rabbits. So then the nice thing is that if a rabbit is tired or they've said that I've had enough of this program, we can swap them out.
Okay.
So like in terms of the competition side, we can't even meet the demand to all the senior homes in the Twin Cities. Even if we all did senior homes, there still is more demand.
So that's actually an amazing. You've hit on a niche that's very popular and usable, and I must admire you for the thoughts that are going into all of this to create Bunny. It's called Bunny Island, right?
Peace Bunny Island.
Say again.
Peace Bunny.
Peace Bunny Island. Why Peace?
So Peace Bunny was the last name of the original 4 rabbits that I got off of Craigslist to be our forever bunnies with our family. And the rabbits just had this very calming sense to them, and just Peace Bunny just stuck as the last name, and then basically named the business after the 4 that started it.
Okay. You're 17, which is even better. You're concerned about helping other people. You have a business that you started by helping other people. What do your friends think about this?
A lot of them just enjoy. A lot of my friends then do programs with me, which I think is really cool. And just like, actually yesterday we went out to the island and spent a lot of time out there training the rabbits and spending time in hammocks and just relaxing and escaping from the world and just relaxing with a bunny in a hammock. And then a lot of my other friends are excited to see where the business goes in the next year, 5 years, 10 years, and just excited to see the possibility.
Well, it's a fantastic thing you're doing, and so what would you want to say to other young people, to other kids out there? Kids, you're not a kid. Other teenagers, let's say that. Other teenagers, about the feelings that you get from what you're doing and why it would be good for them to think about something like this.
Well, it's all about making a difference and finding something that you're passionate about. If you're not passionate about it, then why are you doing it? You always want to do something that you love, and figuring out what that little niche is, and then making it sustainable. And as a teenager, and then at the beginning as a kid in an adult world, it's very different. And learning that things aren't always cookie cutter, and they're not always the way that it perceives, and seeing just how the business world works, and learning from that and expanding on your knowledge as you keep going, and always thinking about kindness and how we can all make a difference, and together we can change the world one piece at a time.
One piece bunny at a time. I like that a lot. Thank you very much, Cal, for joining us on Route 664, the road to human kindness. You're all about human kindness and using rabbits for human kindness. It's really interesting, and I certainly applaud you for that. And I hope that other youngsters will follow in your footsteps and think about the world the same way. Thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Interesting young man, and I want to thank Caleb for giving us his time, tearing himself away from the rabbits, and I also want to thank Todd Healy for the interview this morning. So we've had an opportunity to talk to a professional philanthropic advisor and also to a young entrepreneurial philanthropist. Both are very valuable in our society, and both are very important cogs in the wheel of reaching the road to human kindness, on the road to human kindness. So join us again next week for our next edition of Route 664, the road to human kindness. Be sure to like us. Be sure to share us on Facebook. We are also on YouTube, and of course, listen to the radio show that we play 24/7. It's great music and also great talk and
Tonight,
great
jazz
features. Tonight is also we have Shambhala tonight.
Right after the jazz show.
Shambhala will be on tonight after the jazz show. So stay tuned to Route 664 Radio. You can find it at route664.org/radio. Right?
That's it.
That's it. Okay. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. And thank you, community newspapers, for the use of the facility. We'll see you again next week.